Can we scrap that bit, actually?
We can, yeah.
Right.
Just go again.
Well, thank you very much for having me here today, first of all. So my name's Amanda Dorlin-Barlow. I am a solution-focused hypnotherapist, and my business is called Best Self Solution-Focused Hypnotherapy. How did I get into this? Okay, good question. Well, a bit about my background, first of all. So I've been a dentist working on the NHS for the last 30 plus years. So I've got a lot of experience of trying to keep people calm, managing anxiety, patients and staff sometimes. And I came to hypnotherapy, well, a little bit by accident. One of my workplaces, we had a tragic bereavement, sudden loss of a dear colleague, and we were all struggling with grief, close-knit team. So I happened upon this hypnotherapy training course one night when I couldn't sleep, that was starting a few weeks later, and I thought, I'm going to go on that and see if I can help any of my colleagues, friends to feel better about this. Anyway, went on it. I needed guinea pig clients to practice on as part of the training, so I had quite a few from there, and it really worked. It was incredible. So it's changed my outlook on life and really helped them. So I felt very pleased that it helped them out and privileged that it was me that facilitated that. So that's how I came to it. I've forgotten what the question was now.
That's all right. The question was how you got into this line of work.
Okay, well, that's how I got into it. So then did the training course, qualified after 10 months, and I've kept doing different trainings because I found it so interesting, and it's life-changing for people, and it's so fulfilling to see, just within a few sessions or sometimes with a certain technique in a single session, transformation in people. So it's very rewarding. What is hypnotherapy? Okay, good question. Well, first, I want to dispel a few myths of what it isn't. So it can't make you do anything you don't want to do. You're always in control. People are often very fearful, like, oh, am I going to lose control, be under some power or what have you. But no, you're always in control. Your brain only takes in information that resonates with it and what it decides is important to it. We don't unpick past problems. So it's different type of talking therapy. We don't go over past problems, acknowledge what they might be, decide with the client, or they decide what they want to become, what they want to work away from. So you're not unconscious at any time. You're just in a state of trance, which is a very natural state, a bit like daydreaming, but a sort of relaxed focus, which brings all your resources more to the forefront. And unlike stage hypnosis, you don't come round clucking like a chicken or barking like a dog. So what is it? So it is a kind of talking therapy over several sessions, whereby you identify what you would like to become, what your preferred or desired future would be, what you would be like, what it looks like. So we foster a towards strategy rather than an away from strategy. So rather than paying all your attention to, if only I wasn't like this, and only this didn't happen, if only I couldn't be like this anymore, instead of looking with your attention to that, you switch your focus to ahead. How do I want to be? How do I want to feel? How does my future look? What do I want to achieve? And we do it in very tiny, small steps that are manageable. So nothing's overwhelming. It's so several sessions, so we talk about that. Then in the initial consultation, introduce the concept of how the brain works in relation to stressful situations. So in basic terms, we've got two parts of the brain. So we've got the intellectual mind, which kind of sits at the front here behind our forehead in the prefrontal cortex. And this part of the brain is very positive, rational, sensible, logical. That's, our intelligent part of the brain. And when it comes up with answers based on a proper assessment of situations, was generally very positive. And then the other part is the primitive, original, it's like an older evolutionary part. Primitive part sits back here. So we call that our primitive brain, primitive mind. And its main function is survival. So if you perceive a threat, then it just kicks into fight, flight, freeze. So it shuts off your resources to logic. You haven't got time to be rational. It's just either run for your life or freeze or whatever. But in that state, it can fire your unconscious coping mechanisms. So you can be very anxious or depressed or angry. And it shuts off access to your resources, like your IQ can drop by up to 50%. I mean, it can all relate to, say, when you're feeling stressed, I can't decide, I can't make a decision. You just can't think straight. So 2 parts of the brain. Also talk about the concept of a stress bucket. So I like to say, well, we've all got a stress bucket because we've all lived a life. So the stuff goes in there day in, day out. Daily stresses, late for the kids, late for the podcast, stuck at the traffic lights. Oh no, the level crossing's gone down. And those micro stresses day to day. And big stuff goes in there, life events, bereavement, traumas. We don't know what's around the corner, but it goes in there. So it's very important to empty that stress bucket and keep it empty or at a low level so that we can function normally with the intellectual mind, because the more that's in the stress bucket, the more you're in that primitive mind. So it's all about different tools and techniques to empty the stress bucket, trauma release if necessary, and that's all the talky part. And then we also make use of trance in the sessions. And trance is, I think I may have said before, it's a very relaxed state, very normal state. We go into trance many times a day, for example, when you're reading a book or watching a movie. And it's when the 2 minds come together and focus on the same thing. And so when we're in that state, it opens up access to our resources in our unconscious mind. So such that in our conscious mind, we can only hold between 5 and 9 bits of information at any one time. Like we're bombarded and surrounded with countless bits of information, but if we had them all conscious at once, we'd be completely overwhelmed. So we hold about average 7, between 5 and 9. But our unconscious mind holds between 3 and 20 million bits of information. So the answer or the solution to anything, any challenge we encounter, is already in there in our unconscious. So in trance, it opens the door to allow whatever resources we've got to come to the forefront. So that's how we find our solutions. So trance is very powerful, and it's very relaxing and easy to contrive. In fact, 20 minutes of trance can equate to average 4 to 5 hours of sleep. It's also important to mention that with hypnotherapy, or solution focus particularly, we don't need content to get a result. So if somebody's too embarrassed to reveal what they want to work on, or ashamed, or too traumatized to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it at all. They know what they're working on, and we can still, the process still works to their desired outcome without content. So I've more recently trained in the Mind Reboot program, and that is, so I'm an accredited facilitator of that, and that is a more structured sequence of between 7 to 8 sessions, which people find very liberating and empowering, such that at the end of that process they're just ready to take anything on. It often refer to it as kind of subtractive therapy, because it strips away emotional baggage, such as we release all traumas, we collapse anxious states, depressive states, get rid of emotional triggers and limiting beliefs. And so what's left, having subtracted all of that, is the true person, and their true self can shine through their best self, as we like to say. Okay, so what can it help with? Well, lots of conditions actually. Anxiety, depressive states, trauma release, PTSD, OCD, fears and phobias, panic attacks, Lots of things that are based in that kind of real anxious or depressive, that fear state. Also, physical things it can help with, such as IBS, headaches, migraine, chronic pain, eczema, even very helpful with symptoms of menopause. And on the more uplifting side of things, can really help with self-confidence, passing exams, driving test, sports performance, so you can improve your golf swing, for example, with a course of hypnotherapy, and general overall self-esteem. And it can also help on a more uplifting side of things by getting rid of unwanted habits, can improve sports performance, get rid of exam nerves, public speaking nerves, improve confidence, self-esteem, and overall general well-being. Right, so what do I offer? So I offer one-to-one sessions, and that's in person in Churchtown. I can also do one-to-one sessions online. Also got group workshops for up to 12 people at a time. This is 2 or 3 hours of teaching some of the most fun and easy to learn and powerful techniques for managing anxiety and stressful situations in the moment. So this is really helpful, the skills you can take, and start using in day-to-day life straight away, and also in the workplace. So for that, I do that in venues where individuals can book on, or I can also take workshops to people's places of work. Say there's a team of staff members that would want to have that and benefit from that workshop. And you can find me on Best Self Hypno on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Best Self Hypnotherapy. And my website is www.bestself.solutions.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me. Really enjoyed it.